All right, guys, so I wanted to talk about The Last of Us Part 2. The good thing about the internet, there's bad things I can't stand about the internet, but the good thing about the internet is we have those freaking detectives out there. You know, when a developer and a publisher throws up a new screenshot for a game, man, they got their magnifying glasses out. They're looking at every single pixel in that thing. They're trying to figure out every clue, you know, possible secrets, Easter eggs, you name it. They do the same thing with trailers. You know, they'll slow it down to like 5 times the speed and watch it super slow. And they're looking for little Easter eggs and golden nuggets. And then obviously that eventually makes it to us and shows up on some of these media sites or Reddit. And we get a little bit more insight on what the developer might be thinking. It says here, is The Last of Us Part 2 partially set in Seattle? Fans may have found a possible setting for the Naughty Dog sequel. I'm not going to go through the entire article in terms of all the text. I'll just kind of summarize it. You guys can read this for yourself. I'll have this linked in the description below. But basically, a Reddit user, credit goes to him, Voldsby, has compiled and compared a number of images. Okay, basically there's 1, 2, 3 comparisons down here, and he's trying to make the case that the game could possibly take place in Seattle. He says partially because we know in The Last of Us Part 1 you did travel a lot, so there's no guarantee. Well, there's no guarantee that it's going to be in Seattle, right? This is all just kind of a rumor, speculation. But even if it is, there's no guarantee that they'll stay in Seattle. I think the fascinating, one of the fascinating aspects about the first game was the fact that they traveled. You know what I mean? You got to see a lot in a short amount of time, and I think that's maybe something they should reproduce in the second one. I really did quite enjoy that. It always felt like they were on the run. So in this first image, there's a parking deck here that he claims is a public parking garage close to Seattle's Millennium Tower. And hopefully you guys are seeing this on screen. If not, you can go to the website yourself and check it out. I'll try my best to enlarge it so you guys can see. But basically on the left-hand side, if you scroll this over to the right, you do have an image of the game that they have here. You can see in the background it does say public parking, and you also have these rectangular structures up here. This is I guess the rail of the parking deck right up top. But if you scroll this to the left here, you can see that you get that same vibe. There's all the rectangular shapes, and there's the sign that says public parking. There is 3 letters here as well, and if you scroll over, you can see 3 letters right there too. So pretty convincing to me, man. When I first saw this, I said, well, that's kind of typical. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of parking decks that do this, right? Parking structures. But when I actually saw the sign in the same spot, I was like, okay, all right, it's kind of convincing. Now, I do know sometimes the developers will go out to cities and they'll get, you know, they'll take images and video and stuff like that, and they'll go back and they'll create a city, but it really doesn't have anything to do with the city they filmed. It's just for reference, right? It's called reference photos, and movies do it too. But sometimes developers go out there because they go, hey, we want to create the virtual city as we see it in real life. And obviously with a game like The Last of Us, it's not going to look this pristine. You know, they have to have it destroyed and got some wear and tear on it. But I don't know, this looks pretty convincing to me right here. I scrolled on down. Apparently there is another image right here you can see. Let's see. Additionally, the parking signs, both the P located inside the blue circle and the blue sign signifying 2-hour parking in the art, look the same as the parking signs used in Seattle. Check out the comparisons below. And apparently this is a part of Driftwood Sportwear's signage. The beginning of the word Butnick is also visible. So if you scroll to the left, you can see he's got, this is all the in-game stuff, by the way. All the different signs, P2. Then if you scroll over like this, you can see them right there, P2. All the little signs. I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't know if they just photographed some stuff and threw it together, or if they're really going to be in that setting. It's pretty convincing to me, but who knows, right? Then we scroll on down. This is the one that really got me. Like, these were kind of tempting. I was like, okay, I'll bite. That's interesting. But this is really interesting because we know in The Last of Us Part 1, you walked. Like, yes, you had cutscenes where you were driving in the truck or whatever, but for the most part, you were running, you were walking, you were scavenging. So right here it says, and lastly, as noted in the image below, Reddit users pointed out to the fact that Butnick building and the parking structure are within walking distance of one another. And there's the two buildings. So it says that IGN has reached out to Sony, but they haven't said anything yet. I just thought I would bring that to you guys' attention. I thought it was quite interesting. You guys can let me know in the comments if you think this is convincing evidence to you. And if you think that Naughty Dog was just out, you know, maybe Naughty Dog is using some of this stuff just for reference. Maybe it's not going to be in Seattle and they just needed some ideas for how to shape an environment. But I don't think they would go through all that trouble, man. I really don't. We know that they like motion cap. We know that they like to stick to realistic stuff. So I don't think they would have spent the time to go out and, if it is in fact Seattle, and try to make it look that close to it, unless it was actually going to be in Seattle, or like they said in the article, partially going to be set in Seattle. You guys let me know what you think. I'll see you right back here tomorrow.